Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30. We call this morning's meeting of the Clay County Board of Commissioners to order for Tuesday, October 28th. Our first item is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
You have a motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. The next item is citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard on items not on the agenda? We have none in the audience. Do we have any online?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have no citizens to be heard. We'll move to approval of bills and vouchers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Krabenoff and second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Approval of minutes from October 14th.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer approval of the minutes.
Second.
Right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Our 8:35 item is a request approval for Resolution 2025-28, authorizing issuance, awarding sale, and prescribing the form and details and providing for the payment of $17,915,000 general obligation jail refunding bonds. That's a mouthful. All right. Good morning.
Yes, that was a mouthful. Thank you for having me again this morning. Todd Hagan from Ellers and Associates, your financial advisor this morning for the bond sale. I was here, as you know, on September 23rd for the pre-sale report that kind of set the parameters for the bond sale and some projections on the savings at that time, and we're hoping for better results as we went through the weeks prior to this morning. And in front of the board then is a sale day report from us, and then I guess if you like what you see after I talk about what's in that report, there's a resolution from your bond attorney at Dorsey and Whitney in Minneapolis. That would be the action item for this morning. So to get into the sale day report, it's short and sweet, pretty easy read. Competitive sale results in just a summary format. There's a bid tabulation attached to that. Final bond numbers with a savings report page on there. There's also a Standard & Poor's credit rating report. And then there's a 30-year just graph of what the bond buyer index looks like as well, and you can see that rates are going down, which is nice. So before we get into how the bond issue played out, I do want to say that Steve and Lori and I and the analysts from Standard & Poor's did go through the credit rating for the bond issue too. We want to make sure we get it rated. Again, you folks are highly rated. When we get a bond rated, it's easy for prospective bidders to just look at the rating because it's a national rating. So whatever your rating is going to be similar to the same rating in some other state, which is great. So we did get together a few weeks ago and talk about that with the analysts. You were rated a year ago, so we just updated those folks with your 23 and 2024 audits and budget for 2025, along with your economic outlook. So it was nice that way. They do give us their questions ahead of time, which is great. It used to be a mystery, but now it's not, and they go through them verbatim. So we were all prepared for that, and then we sent them also some follow-up materials to make sure they got everything they needed for their credit committee. They did come back with a AA stable rating, which was affirmed, which is what you've had for quite a while now. We also were able to get that AAA state program rating, which was new in the legislature this year for a bond that's been state guaranteed in the past. We're able to refinance it with that same program if it's for an interest cost savings, which is what we're shooting for here this morning. The rating report, again, it's an easy read, but the analyst did note of your strong reserves, your very manageable debt burden, and continued growth in your tax base as positive credit factors. So all good there. So up to noon yesterday, because you have such an early morning meeting today, the bidders were kind enough to give us some interest rates, right? So we did, again, send it out to everyone we could. There were 3 other large bond issues that were not bank qualified, right? Because you're over $10 million. Dilworth School District had one for $12 million. Mankato School District had one for $36 million. And Carver County School District had one for $37 million. So I think everybody kind of was focusing on this not bank qualified tax exempt bond issues, which was great. No small issuers in the mix. You did receive 3 bids, again up to noon yesterday, which is respectable. 3 is sort of the target, a minimum target we like to see, which tells us that it's a competitive sale, right? So your 3 bids were from Baird out of Milwaukee with 25 participants. If you look at some of those folks, some actually bid on their own, like a Northland Securities and others on there that you might recognize, Oppenheimer and those folks. So Baird gets all them together, and Colliers, which used to be Doherty and Company, they get them all together, and they take whatever they want out of your bond issue. And Baird's the lead broker-dealer underwriter, right, for those folks. They came in at a 2.93%, which was 37 basis points or 0.37% less than our pre-sale estimate last month, which is good news. We're under 3%. That's pretty cool. The second bid was Meserlow Financial from Chicago at 3.02, and Key Bank Capital Markets from Cleveland, Ohio at 3.04. So pretty tight bidding. Any of the 3 would have been fine with me. I like the 2.93% one the best, and hopefully you do too. The difference between the low bid and the high bid, it's a large bond issue. The interest rate difference is just a little north of $163,000, so it pays to competitive bid these bonds that are easy to understand and highly rated and nice and short like yours is. So yeah, it's just a good one for those folks to buy, and then they reoffer it to the public, right? The savings that we've got on this is $702,000 over the life of the 10 years. So I think Lori likes to see that one. It's about a $70,000 per year savings. It's the savings as a percentage of refunded principal is 3.358. I'd like to see it at least at 3. It's between 3 and 4. It's a good refunding in my opinion. So we're good there. Again, this bond is not going to be called in until February 1 of 2026. So we've got a few months to invest the bond proceeds. We're lucky. I'm going to say lucky because the federal government has shut down some of their departments, but we were able to invest the bond proceeds for the few months between now and then in state and local government securities, which are purchased by the feds or from the feds. We got a 4.01% interest rate on that, so that's going to add to our savings. We're a little north of $52,000 of positive arbitrage, they call that. So arbitrage is investing our invested money for a while. And we're able to do that within a 90-day period for refunding at no yield restrictions, so we don't have to keep it lower than the rate on the bond, so that's good. So that's positive as well. I think too, this sold out to the market, and the market sort of has anticipated any Fed rate reductions that may be coming here in the next few days or weeks. It's a sale out into the market, not a bank deal, right? So they've always been outperforming the banks, and so I think it's just a good time to strike and get this thing done. If a person would have waited any longer, the feds might have shut down that securities exchange, part of our investment strategy as well. So I think knowing what we know now and where things are, I think it's as good as it's going to get. The call date is on 2033 still, and if you wanted to refinance it again, we're a little south of $6 million for that, so we'd be bank qualified at that point if we ever wanted to refinance it again. So I think that was one of our goals as well. The size of the bond issue was reduced by $1,645,000 from the projection. We were looking at more like $17,915,000, but I maybe mentioned at the pre-sale, we have been receiving premium bids lately for many years now, as a matter of fact. So the premium bid and the reduction in the underwriter's profit or fee, we were able to lower that by just a little north of $1.6 million. So we've got $16,270,000 of bonds. So if you look at the bid tabulation, you'll see a coupon rate column and you'll see a reoffering yield column. And I just like to say the difference between the two is that premium that we received. And so by lowering the bond issue down by the $1.6 million, we've got 5% and 4% stamped on the bonds, but again, we're paying interest on less bonds outstanding. So we're looking at the sort of the real rate that we'd be looking at or paying is the 2.5 to 3.1 on that column there. So I call that burning down the yield by giving them back or lowering the bond issue by some of that money. So that's good. So we've chipped away at that too.
Can I ask you a question
I think it's a win-win, but yes, sir.
Reoffering premium?
Yep.
So right now that we're able to lower our bond amount based on that, which obviously means we pay that off earlier, right?
We lowered the bond issue down. We re-amortized all 10 years to make it level again. So we are paying we're paying interest on less bonds. Correct. Yep. So
is this the only way you can use the premium?
Yes. You can keep it, but you can't on a refinancing. That would be an overissuance. But if it was a new project, the option would be to keep some of it, all of it, or none of it, which means that you're actually, nothing's free, right? So you're actually going to pay interest on that premium. Yep. So my recommendation is if we're not on a new project, if we're not running into a wall of granite or something and was unanticipated and your contingency is getting eaten up, right, and you kind of foresee that you need some more money, then you might want to use it. But 9 times out of 10, my clients will sort of lower the bond issue.
I guess I was looking at it more from the standpoint if our mechanism to pay off the bond, the financing of our projects, if the mechanism there for collections are meeting or exceeding what we need, would we have the ability to use those premiums outside of the project?
No, I would use the revenues that are being used to pay the bonds. I would use those in a different way if you could repurpose that part. I'd stay ahead of it that way. So keep the bonds on track, lower it by the premium, which we're supposed to do here. I would take those revenues that are paying for the bonds and I would sort of start thinking about other ways to use those. Yep.
But that's somewhat restricted too by,
It is, if it's sales tax or what have you, yep, there's some restrictions, but there's always, amendments, right? So, but yeah, I've had sales tax.
that's where that's more where
Yep.
I was going with that is
I see the strategy.
taking advantage of every option that we could have,
Yep,
when it comes to, if we're ahead of the game, can we fit in another project or something within the same scope? But
yep. Good question. Hopefully I answered that one.
yes, you did. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, any other questions? Like I said, it's a good read to go through there. Probably one of the recommendations I think S&P had was maybe looking at a fund balance policy at some point, doing some financial management planning or whatever. You'll see the upside and the downside in the rating report. So that kind of gives you just a third-party kind of look at maybe what a person might want to work on at some point. There's not a whole lot we can do with the economy on their matrix, right? It is what it is. Everybody tries to help with that. Per capita income, GDP, things like that are hard to, we can't really control those, but what we can control is, debt and liabilities, management, reserves and liquidity, and financial performance. So that's something just to think about, and that's really the takeaway on those reports, is just to kind of think about maybe in a workshop or whatever, what more that we could be in control of that would help our financial status, I guess. So
Based on that, is the rating that Clay County receives, the AA/stable, is that considered good?
yes, it's good. So
How does that
before you get
compare
to
with other?
before you get to a AAA, it's AA plus, and then it's AA. It's AA minus. So you got a couple clicks to get to the AAA. So yep, that's what I see in most counties is the AA. I don't see them in the A's, and I see very few AAA counties. So you guys are hovering right in the right spot there, I think. So you have a broad tax base. A lot going on, a lot different than a city, that are sort of condensed and they can't really expand much. So you guys counties are pretty lucky that way, that you have a broad tax base, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Kraft.
Just a follow-up to Commissioner Campbell's questions on the revenues.
Yep.
How are those, or when are those identified in the project? When would you be able to know whether you have these revenues to use or not? Are there certain periods?
Pay the bonds
Yeah.
back?
Well, or other uses? I thought there was something, if I understood that correctly, if you see because premiums are higher, correct?
Yep.
Okay. You said is there other uses for it, was the question asked?
Yeah, you'd have to go back to the sales tax legislation and see what more you can, what fits in that, because that's one of the revenues that are coming into, if it was property taxes,
Yeah.
that's one thing. But we have sales tax, there's some kind of teeth in there, right? We're limited to
Yeah.
what
yeah.
purpose, and an amount and a term, I would imagine.
And I guess that was,
Yep,
if I can.
Yeah, please.
So
Yep,
so
yep.
that, my question was around the premium dollars, and if we selected to use to take the premium dollars, we'd pay the interest on those premium dollars, as you said.
Yep.
But do those premium dollars, would we have the ability to use those outside of the scope of the
Bond, no.
Okay.
No.
and outside of the scope of the sales tax requirements?
For a refinancing like this, we have to lower the bond issue by any other revenues coming in, like a premium.
Okay.
Or it'd be an overissuance.
Okay,
If we kept it, it would be a new money portion, they call it, so it would be a construction portion. So you can do a refinancing and a construction bond at the same time. So in that scenario, you could probably move over that premium into the new project construction part of the bond issue and avoid an overissuance on the refinancing. But if it's a refinancing by itself like this, we've got to lower it, or it'd be a overissuance, right? We'd be collecting too much money to pay off our bonds, right? So another thing you can do too is you could apply cash towards a refinancing too. Maybe that's what you're getting at as well too. So if you've got, a bucket of money that's building up and building up, you don't have to refinance bond proceeds to bond proceeds. You can use some cash to help offset that too. And I'm sure there's some bonds coming up that we can maybe do that with as well, so.
Well, all this kind of has to do with,
Yep.
and from my standpoint, what happens towards the end of this project as opposed to today. And, for example, we've been very fortunate in Clay County. Our sales tax collections have been strong.
Yep.
And so, what we thought we might need to have in addition to our sales tax dollars, we thought we were gonna probably need to put X amount of levy dollars into making our annual payment. We have not had to do that. So we've been fortunate from that standpoint. But at the same point in time, when we, for example, when we did the correctional center, part of our long-term goal was, preparing for and planning in the future for an expansion of that, when the need arised. So you have an issue with, our issue is that the sales tax either, it sunsets
Right.
when the bonds are paid off. But however, if we needed to have the extension put on there, would that qualify then to keep the sales tax going throughout its 20-year period?
That's an option, so the city of Hermantown has, for example, has always had they had a sales tax when sales tax wasn't a thing. It was perpetual as long as the trunk sewer lines were being extended, because it was a township back in the day, 34 square miles or whatever. So we've gone in probably 6 times for amendments to that sales tax. We've financed the city hall, the fire station, a community center with Essentia Health. They've since sunsetted it because we've put in trails and everything in there. And so you can go back and add to it, add more projects to it, which extends it. But they don't like to see it going perpetual anymore. They do like that stop date, which makes sense.
And I
Makes
don't,
sense.
from my
Yep.
standpoint, I would never want to see us have to extend the period of the sales tax,
Right.
but at least be able to add to the current use of it.
And that's an option. Yep.
And because I mean, if, 7 years from now, the board sitting here, we might have a sheriff coming to us and saying, we're at capacity and we need to expand this.
Yep. Yep.
And now if everything is sunsetted, you got no option now but your county levy, or you go back to the legislature and try to get a new sales tax.
And what we do is we'd keep that sales tax, but we would change the use. We would add to the uses of it.
Okay, so, and this is more for,
Yep.
future
Education.
planning, but we need to,
Increase the amount and put more uses in it.
yeah, you need to, I think, future boards need to be aware of that, and hopefully you can,
I agree.
yeah.
I'm working on one in Crosby right now, so it's, everybody's kind of going back in because there was a moratorium that got lifted this last session too, so now we're all kind of going back in again. So Detroit Lakes has one too. We popped on a few years
I think
ago.
if the day came and we had an expansion on our jail and our citizens had the option of just finish out the sales tax or put it on our levy, I think I know what the answer would be.
Me too, me too. Yeah, if you need help with that, let me know. I'll be around for a while. I agree. I like the way you're thinking. Absolutely. Well, that's all I had. So I'm up for more questions. Otherwise, we're looking at consideration of that resolution to award the sale of the bonds to Baird. So,
Okay, and that resolution was in the original packet? Oh,
Mr. Chair?
It's not like our normal resolution. It's a pretty
you
lengthy
don't
one.
need to read all the.
No.
please no.
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-28.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Ebinger, and discussion, Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today. I just want to give gratitude to your staff and our staff. This is a great savings to realize for a project that still proves such importance in our community. But for us to see a sizable savings, I think, is really helpful in times when we're all trying to do more with less. So thanks for the work in getting us this far, and excited to see savings.
You're welcome.
All right, any further discussion? I'm all for saving $750,000.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor of the, do we need a roll call vote on this? I don't think we do we?
We do not.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the business again. Appreciate it.
All right, our next item is the approval of appointments to the Clay County Extension Committee.
Good morning.
Money.
Cecilia Amadou, University of Minnesota Extension Regional Director. You may already have the names in front of you, but we have Siham Amidi and Rick Hall, as well as Alicia Holt. Rick Hall and Siham are needing approval for their second term on the County Extension Committee. And then Alicia Holt will be needing to serve her first term as part of the Master Gardener appointment piece.
Yeah, thank you for that. I guess that was my question. I wasn't sure about how many of them are being reappointed versus the first term. And just for information purposes,
Yeah.
I certainly like to see when we're going to make an appointment, especially the first time, that we have some sort of information on that individual, and I have nothing. I know Commissioner Mojo speaks highly of Alicia, and I am gonna, I'll trust in that, but I think in the future for, when it's our responsibility to make appointments, it'd be nice if we could have some sort of background information on them so that can help us make a decision.
Sure. I can certainly do that. We typically that nomination comes from the Master Gardeners to us, so they are well vetted we trust their judgment as to who they're bringing forward, but I think that you're right. It makes sense to provide additional information to the board. So I'll make note of that.
Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you. I know we've had some difficulty. We do have an opening, kind of more towards that community club type appointment. So thanks for being here to raise visibility for what the Extension Committee does. I know Commissioner Krabanoff and I serve on that, and agreed now that we have Commissioner Bear here, who's kind of new to the appointment world, it would be fine just to have a little bio write-up of everybody, because I think it is important for us to get to know the people that are serving in that capacity. But my time working with Alicia has gone far back before Master Gardeners. We had kids in preschool together, and even during that time, she was very active in doing significant community education type pieces in the community, volunteering. She is a 4-H parent. She has 2 children in the group, and even her oldest was lucky enough to receive a leadership award from Clay County Federation this year. So that's really exciting. But to the Master Gardeners component, Commissioner Ebinger might recognize Alicia. I think Alicia and Lynn, probably just the two of them, did a lot of work over a couple summers keeping all of the Clay County Master Gardener plots looking fantastic. So in the future, yes, it would be great to have a write-up, but I'm certainly excited about her appointment to this board.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ebinger.
And just follow up on Commissioner Mojo's comments. Alicia and Lynn worked on a lot of the projects together, and she speaks highly of her, so I think it's a good appointment.
All right, we're looking for a motion to approve.
And as a clarification, Cecilia, if I might, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
We are reappointing Siham and Rick to their second three-year term, and then eligibility-wise, up to three-year terms?
Yeah, this will be their last term, and then in Clayton, we typically sunset that after their third term is done.
Oh, so this is their third term we're appointing?
No, we're appointing for, we have 2 terms, 3, so they are going to serve another 3 years.
Correct.
Yeah,
So they're allowed 2 3-year terms?
yes,
Okay.
And they just finished their first.
yeah. Sorry, it's kind of confusing.
And are those rules established by the U of M?
Yes, those rules are established between AMC and the university. It's a statute that governs how we work together with counties. So typically, in some counties, the appointment do come to us, and then in some, I work with the committees to appoint someone, and then we come here to get that approved by the commissioners.
Very good.
I have one question.
Yes, Commissioner Bear.
How many people are on the extension committee?
6. And then we have 2 commissioners that are on,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we had a motion and a second?
Oh,
We did?
think we had a
Oh,
motion
okay.
or a second.
I thought, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I thought I heard Jenny give
Oh, I thought Dave did. Okay.
a, okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Siham Hamadeh and Rick Hall to a 3-year term on the Extension Committee, and Alicia Holt on her first 3-year term, appoint her.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Krabenhoff. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
2. All right, next we have a request approval of the lease rate increase request for the Family Service Center, and we have with us our Facilities Director, Joe Olson. Good morning, Joe.
Morning, Mr. Chair, board members. Real quick, wanted to, Alicia and Lynn, you guys spoke of them earlier. If you look at the monument out front, they're the reason why that looks so good. Got a lot of compliments. So wanted to thank the Master Guard. A lot of work goes into that. So just brought up in my mind when you were talking.
It's
about
not you?
No, no, I don't want to take the credit for this. It was definitely those 2. So thank you to them. Yeah, so I am, I met with the building committee, and what we had done at the Family Service Center is we did a rental rate comparison around the Fargo-Moorhead area, and what we found out per square foot is we're coming in pretty low on what we charge, and so what we did is I presented the building committee with this with the spreadsheet here that you have in front of you, and if you see in the spreadsheet there, you're going to see highlighted tenants, and those tenants are going to be up for renewal at the January 1st of 2026. And so over the years, we've done a few increases, very minor, 50 cent per square foot type scenarios. I think by looking at all of this, we feel that we should get the rates up to where they need to be. I think it's our goal not to compete with the private sector, but get the rates in a position to at least help out the Family Service Center operating budget. So what we were proposing here is, we know we're at the end of our budget cycle, and so we're proposing that we do a 4-year lease with the up-and-coming leases, and the first year would be a no increase, and then we do a phased-in approach of, well, currently right now we're at $13.75 a square foot on the first floor and $12.75 a square foot on the second floor. So what we would do is the first year would be no increase in 2026. In 2027, the rates on the first floor would be $15.75 a square foot, and then $14.75 a square foot on the second floor. And then in 2028, we'd have $17.75 a square foot on the first floor, and 1675 square foot on the second floor. And then we do a final year of an additional dollar would be 1875 a square foot and 1775 a square foot on the second floor. So this helps out our budget. It certainly doesn't put away a whole bunch of capital to fix up the building, but it does help us get where we need to be, we feel. So the couple other notes to consider here is a family health care lease. We've just entered into a 10-year lease with them. They brought over $1 million to their fit-up project, so that is a different lease. That's a 10-year lease. There is some smaller adjustments, increases to their lease starting in 2029. So totally different scenario there. And then to note, CapLP is our biggest tenant. They rent over 14,000 square feet. They are not up until 2029. So we had that discussion of that gives them 4 years to kind of figure their budget out too. So questions for me?
No, our building committee did discuss this, and this, it certainly kind of keeps up, part of what we also have to do is, on an annual basis, those buildings don't cost less to operate them, they cost more.
Correct, yep.
So if when we see rent numbers not moving for 10 years, and you have just an inflationary rate of your heat and your utilities and everything else, then we're actually going backwards. Yep. And so we felt that this was a 0, 2, 2, and 1 was a good option. One of the things that in our building committee that we always talk about too is what Clay County's future needs might be for ourselves, and that building, someday might have to be used to completely house internal agencies that we have. So,
Yep.
But in the meantime, I think this is a fair. Over many years when we've talked about this, one of the things that we did not want to get in the way of is we didn't want to also get in the way of undercutting, private sector rentals that are out there. We didn't want to interfere with that, and by doing so, one of the things that we stipulated is that the agencies that are in our facility really have a partnership with what we do. And, so I think that's one of the crucial things that we also do there. So that separates that from maybe somebody who might be going in some other rental unit in the city or the county. So our building committee did recommend this approval. So I don't know if Ezra wants to add to that.
I just add that, the building committee recommended this approval. And then if you look at productive alternatives, their lease comes up on 2027.
Yep.
They would start with the increase at 2027.
Yes.
One reason why we're doing that first year with no increase is because we're already to the end of October, and those leases start January 1, so we just want to give them a good heads up, a year heads up, saying that the leases will be rising, so.
Yep.
That's why that first year is no increase.
Yep. And to add to it, we're putting it on a 4-year rotation here, so at the end of 4 years, we've had leases kind of all over the place every year, so this will put everybody close together now so we can, accurately budget, so.
Yes, Commissioner Grabanoff.
Yeah, so Joe, I don't know what well below means, where you're at now to where we should be in current market, but as you brought it forward, have you talked to anybody ahead of time about what rate increases might look like?
I haven't told them exact numbers, but I've told them it could be a significant increase, so.
Okay.
But I didn't really throw anything out at them. I told them that we were going to be discussing this, and so in the last 6 months, we've had a lot of conversation about that. So I've kind of given them a heads up.
Okay.
I let them know that I would be letting them know a report today.
Right, and then when they, I see it, maybe I missed it, there are terms, right?
Yep.
And do they vary?
Oh, as far as how many years?
Length, yeah.
Yeah, so the ones that are highlighted in yellow now are going to be a 4-year term.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep, and then, as Commissioner Bear had mentioned, the 2020, there's only one 2027 coming up,
Yeah.
and that'll probably be a 3-year. And then, the goal, I think, is to line them all up into that 2029, so they're all,
okay. Yeah,
all-
and the only reason I'm asking the question, when you look at the dollars, I mean, and again, you have to bring it to a current rate or an
Yeah.
equitable rate.
yep,
But when you look at the percentages, they're fairly big, so.
yep, exactly, yep. And I think it's kind of why we tried to do it over a course of 4 years and not just one big.
Sure. And then last question, what percent of the building is non-county?
Is non-county?
Yeah.
Well, I used to say 60/40, but we rent about 30, the non-county is 32,000 square feet, just under 33,000 square feet. So, and I think we have roughly 107 square feet total. So I think we're getting into that 70,
Okay.
30% now.
Okay, I was just curious. Yep,
Yep. So,
All right. It's the board's wishes.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the lease rate increase request for the Family Service Center as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bear, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Commissioner Mojo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the presentation on this and the work that the committee did to look at it. I know we've had significant conversation at this board about understanding the clientele or the type of organizations that are renting over there and wanting to still make it equitable across the board. But I do really appreciate you looking at that because you were far below market average.
yeah.
And we also have bills to pay too. And so taking a phased approach so as to not, really present those organizations with a hardship, but allow them time to prepare, because this type of space is not available anywhere.
Exactly, you're correct.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Board.
Next, we have approval of the Clay County, Becker County Partnership for Health Community Health Board. Good morning, Roy.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'm here today to request approval for 3 things. An amended joint powers agreement between the counties of Becker and Clay. Of course, that used to include Otter Tail and Wilkin. To request approval for a delegation agreement between the Partnership for Health Community Health Board and Clay County Local Board of Health, and then bylaws from which that will govern the Partnership for Health moving forward. And so maybe a little history. Back in 2014, the Minnesota Department of Health established these community health boards. And so we've been operating as such with our 4 counties since that time. Effective January 1st, as you know, Partnership for Health will be Becker and Clay. And so we need to update some of these documents. Brian Melton has reviewed them, and both Commissioners Bear and Ebinger, who are serving on the new CHB board, have been part of the board that approved them. So I'd like to take a couple minutes, just maybe cover some highlights, see if there's questions. And so if we look at the joint powers agreement first, note that this is an amended agreement. It's not a new one. And the purpose is for us to allow us to adopt bylaws, to appoint key administrative roles, develop delegation agreements, and complete other organizational duties necessary for the transition of services from the CHB to our local health board. And those 6 on page 2 of the joint powers agreement, on the top you'll see the 6 responsibilities that are spelled out in the statute: assuring an adequate local public health infrastructure, promoting healthy communities and healthy behaviors, preventing the spread of infectious disease, protecting against environmental health hazards, preparing for and responding to emergencies, and mobilizing community resources to address gaps in health services. And so this addresses the governing board composition, which will change. And so you can see on page 2 that now there will be 2 county commissioners appointed from each of our 2 represented counties. That will be for us, Commissioner Bear and Commissioner Ebinger. And those are 1-year terms with no term limits. And then there will be an at-large community member that has a 3-year term. And let's see, 3-year term, and then it just simply rotates each 3 years between the 2 counties. It starts out with a Becker County representative. And then you can see how it spells out powers and duties. Most of that detail is in Statute 145A. The CHB does not employ any staff. It does have the ability to acquire property in the name of achieving its goals. The CHB shall coordinate local, state, and federal funding and manage the disbursement of funds. There are criteria often that come forward from MDH that spell out how those funds are dispersed. Usually there's a formula based on population and need. It allows permission of contracted services. And that requires that, if you look down at H, that we perform a community health assessment, which we're in the process of, and create a community health improvement plan, which we're in the process of. And then it's, you can see equal access to services, indemnification, and hold harmless. And then it spells out the same grounds for withdrawal as we have had before. It requires a 1-year notification. It spells out if there is a termination of CHB, how those payments are prioritized for expenses. Then if I move to the delegation agreement, this would be effective January 1st, and it delegates that certain powers and duties from the CHB to the local health board. And so specifically, those are things like the local health board shall avail itself of medical consultation services, shall distribute vaccines in accordance with MDH policy, shall ensure proper reporting and control of communicable diseases, shall enforce public health nuisance laws, prepare reports on expenditures, and provide matching funds as required for local health grants. And then may perform licensing, inspection, or enforcement duties under this agreement. We shall perform audits to monitor compliance, consult with, advise, assist, or direct the Board of Health as needed. Each county needs to have its own medical consultant. And the CHB shall designate and distribute CHB contracted funds to public health departments. And then we have bylaws that spell out our governance moving forward.
I kind of have maybe a technical question. Maybe Brian can help me understand this. So the previous joint powers agreement we had was with 4 counties, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And so we are doing an amended agreement that brings it down to 2.
Correct.
So the original joint powers agreement with the 4 entities was never rescinded.
That is correct.
Okay, so my only question then, so if we're doing an amended agreement to a joint powers that were 4 counties down to 2, wouldn't we want to have the 2 counties who were part of the original joint powers sign off on this amended agreement?
Maybe I'll defer to Mr. Melton on this.
If you're talking about the 2 that are leaving, are you
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I mean, I think really the idea is that the joint powers, joint agency, if you will, was created. We were able to keep the name and keep that. 2 withdrew themselves, so they're just not part of the new amended agreement. That one is now rescinded, wouldn't apply. And the new one that has the 2 would stay.
So if the old joint powers agreement was never rescinded, and we're amending an agreement to just have 2,
right?
You see where I'm,
Right, and I don't, the only thing I don't know if we have specific, I'd have to go back and look exactly if we have language that, I mean, this is the most current, and anything that was previous would not apply, is typically how that would go. So I do see what you're saying, I'm just, have to think, and maybe even defer to Rory if we have that language in there, that this is the current one and all other previous copies or whatever would not have any force and effect, is typically how we would do it.
And, Mr. Chair, this has been documented through the minutes and through the motions made by the other partners that are leaving. We're basically maintaining the same partnership. It's just we've had 2 members of it leave. The documentation we've got here and the actions taken to reconstitute our organization and actions taken by Ottertail and Wilkin are documented through Minnesota Department of Health. And there's a great deal of oversight on this. The meeting Commissioner Bear and I attended with our Becker County partners to get these documents through the mill have already been reviewed, and the MDH was present in that meeting, and they've endorsed what we're doing. They've set a timeline on expectations that they want from us. We've met or exceeded that, and the final entity that has the authority over these partnerships is MDH, and they're fully engaged and have approved what we're doing here up to this point.
my understanding, when you created joint powers entity, you were creating a form of government, an entity of government. And that was formed with 4, and we're amending it to 2. And so if there's some sort of documentation that shows that the other 2 withdrew from the joint powers agreement, then that's probably gonna be sufficient.
It's addressed.
Sorry, I thought their notification to us was the form of documentation of withdrawal.
That was my understanding. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we did receive notification that per statute, they have to provide a 1-year notice. That's what started this conversation and planning for what you have before you this morning.
In the joint powers, it says this agreement shall be continued from year to year until terminated as provided herein. Termination. This agreement may be terminated by withdrawal from the CHB of any member county board of any of the joint participants. And we did receive formal notification of that.
All right, very good. I just answered my question. Thank you. Commissioner Ebinger.
And I don't know if Rory's completed his presentation, but I want to just interject in here. This has been kind of a challenging environment to reformulate all this, and we've had great assistance from Rory, from other members of the county workforce that have chipped in to get this through. And I think Becker County's been a good partner and has worked hard with us. It's worth noting that we're currently administered by Rory and his counterpart in Becker County. So until we get somebody hired as public health director, that position's going to be filled by Rory, and he's done a good job of it up to now. So I'm grateful for the work that's been done also by Mr. Melton and his team. So I think we're moving forward in a good position to get this off the ground.
All right, any further discussion? So we have 3 different actions to take here.
Do you want them, Mr. Chair, in 3 different actions or all in one action?
Yeah, we'd probably better have them in 3 different actions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to move to approve the Partnership for Health Community Health Board Joint Powers Agreement
As amended?
as amended.
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
move to approve the Partnership for Health Delegation Agreement.
I will second that.
Motion Motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried.
And, Mr. Chair, I'd finally like to move to approve the Partnership for Health bylaws.
I will also second that.
Motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Rory, thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a good day.
All right. Next, we have a request to approve a resolution 2025-29 urging the repeal of Minnesota's moratorium on nuclear energy production.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. As you recall, last week during updates, I provided some information that we received from Gary Gray, the Commissioner from Sherburne County, requesting the consideration of signing a resolution and potentially consider joining the Minnesota Nuclear Energy Alliance, which is moving forward the platform to repeal Minnesota moratorium on nuclear energy. This board addressed it, saying they would like to have a discussion on it at a upcoming board meeting. And so before you this morning is Resolution 25-29, highlighting this board's willingness to push for ending the moratorium and looking for additional ways that nuclear power could be utilized to meet the 100% carbon-free by 2024 legislation that the Minnesota legislature has brought forward. With that, I'd yield for any questions.
Commissioner Moschel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Serving on the Environment and Natural Resources Policy Group, I think this is important to bring this information and this, this advocacy forward. I think it's also important to note to this board that the Environment and Natural Resources Group is going to meet again before our conference in December because additional platform amendments have come forward in regards to nuclear energy components, data centers, and solid waste management districts. And so it is something that a lot of counties are talking about, and I think being part of this is important for us as well.
Any further discussion?
I'll just make a comment. I know some people involved in this field and strongly support our advocacy of that. And so that's a comment I want to make. I would look forward to it. You want a motion? Motion to approve Resolution 2025-29.
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Krabenoff, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the motion?
I just want it to be known also that I strongly support this resolution.
Good. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion also carried unanimously. Thank you, Steve. Next, we have our 2026 budget discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a standing item that we have each week as we come close to our December finalizing the budget. At this point, I do not have anything new to report from administration or auditor treasurer standpoint, but would be open to any questions.
Can I have one question from the bond, and just to clarify it. So we take in more sales tax than we spend on the jail currently? We're bringing in more sales tax revenue than what
And the annual bond payment.
than the annual bond payment?
That's correct.
Is there a way to take that extra money and put it into road and bridge? Because you could, no? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
I know you could have also a sales tax for road and bridge.
That's correct, but
We specifically asked the community to support the sales tax for that specific piece, and so you had to be very clear in the time and the use, and that's specifically what it.
Wanted to clarify that,
Yep.
so.
There was the direction some of my questions were going this morning regarding the premium that we, potential that we had, if that could be,
Yeah,
if we accepted that premium, if we could use that in a different form.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was going with that, and the answer to that was no. And then in addition to that, then I was also asking about, long-term, if we do an expansion to the current project there, would that qualify? And I think the answer to that was yes, but maybe it's needing to have some modification language to the legislation, so. All right, and I guess we have nothing. I know we're having a PIC meeting today, we have a closed session today, other items that could come up, but do any other commissioners have anything today on the budget you care to ask?
just, well, can I ask one more?
Yes.
Where do we sit as of today?
We are still where we were at last week. We're at 4.92%.
Commissioner Ebinger?
And just an update on the library that we discussed. Some of the commissioners have expressed a desire to see where Becker County's going with this, and that apparently will be something they discuss in 2 weeks. In the meantime, I'm looking into and hoping to get something by next week on what the impact would be if we don't meet the request for signatory fee on cutting back hours in the county libraries, small cities in the county that have library locations. And I should get something solid on that here this week.
Okay,
Perfect.
And
very good.
if I can follow up on Dave, what was the additional amount? 15 grand or something in that neighborhood?
Yeah, I think the total ask on increase was around 30,000. We agreed to half of that, so it's 15,000.
We agreed to a 5% increase.
Yeah, it's roughly, it's just under, it's 14,000 and change, yeah.
All right, with that, we'll
Thank you.
move to our next item. Oh, did you have something?
I just, maybe, Steve can go back to his chair, but I think it's important, I had a lot of people reach out to me when we set the preliminary levy with serious concerns about this board's ability to look critically at the budget. And, I do want to say that this is a work in progress. We've been working hard at this since really February, when we were looking at double-digit increases, and even as late as July, I think we were looking at 11 or 12. And so I know our departments and our staff are working really hard to be as frugal as possible in a time of substantial unknown. So I want to name that from this board. But the work that Steve and Lori continue to do to look critically, and Darren as well, I'm not trying to shortchange you, but, I just want you to know that I really do appreciate the work that's gone into continuing to hear from us where you want to see things level out. And, I know there's a lot of unknowns still in the last couple months, and we're hearing from the community that budgets are tight. And what we are trying to do is find a way to address the 2026 budget in a way in which our community sees services at the level in which they continue to want. We can't go a whole lot further into this without seeing substantial road cuts or a sheriff's department cut or additional pieces that we're hearing from our neighbors that are really important. So, we're continuing to look at that. I do know that, I've had conversations with people in the last week that are really concerned about conservation payments that are not going out right now because of the federal government shutdown too. So I know that those NRCS and USDA staff are working unpaid to try to get those checks out to folks before their property taxes are due. But we hear you from the community. We really do hear you, and we're trying to do a budget in the most appropriate way, but it's challenging. So thank you.
All right, anything else on the budget this morning? Next, we'll move into our 9:30 item, which is a, yes.
Can we move number 10 up so then Sarah can be committee reports?
Oh, sure, yes, we can do that. Let's see, who'd we start with last time? Jenny, did we start with you?
I did.
Okay, Commissioner Mojo.
All right. I don't even know what the date is. What is the date? Is it the 28th today? Okay. Last week, I traveled to Mankato and Worthington on behalf of working with AMC and running for the executive board piece. I want the community or the folks watching to know that that is not something that I'm traveling or doing on the county dime and paying out of that with pocket. But what was really important to hear from folks in District 7 and 8 about their challenges with budgets, there were several counties there that were at 9 and 10 and 11%, which is brutal for what they're looking at with budgets. But you know, I did receive some pretty good information that I'm working with departments on how we can see some savings and how we do business in Clay County too. So it was really interesting to see and hear those reports. And then also, you know, you'll have this report on Friday at our district meeting, but you know, how some of these federal components are affecting us countywide. I did see an announcement from Governor Walz in approving $4 million in emergency funds for food shelves. Interesting to see where that will filter through. Hopefully Western Minnesota will see some of that. You know, remains to be seen. But I attended the Clay County Legislative Group conversation with our lobbyist team on Wednesday as well. Have a really great formulated plan for triaging the outreach there. Happy to announce, and I think Steve did send this out, that we have officially received notice that the Senate bonding tour will be coming to Clay County to tour our non-secure detention project. That's a huge, huge step for us and excited for that. I attended the Land Management Committee meeting of the Diversion Authority. I believe we just had, we approved a sale of excess land recommendation and then also discussed the two excess land recommendations and then discussed the Horace elevator site. There was an update there. It was a fairly brief meeting. And then on the 23rd, I attended the end of the SWAC committee meeting. I know that Commissioner Campbell has that covered. And then attended the MCC JPA meeting. I didn't advertise my address since I would be driving, so I didn't participate by voting, but I did hear all of the conversations. There was project updates and then approved a reimbursement request for a landowner. And then in the evening, I attended the CAP-LP Board of Directors meeting. Commissioner Krabnoff was there, so he can report on that as well. But one thing of note, and I did attend an earlier meeting with HR, the HR committee of CAP-LP, but they're working and updating their bylaws on how paid family and safe and sick time work into their new bylaws. The board did act on some of those pieces, making sure that it's clean going into January 1st when the law becomes law. And then Friday, I attended the non-secure detention PRTF conversation. We were set to present to Senator Klobuchar's team on a potential for a congressional delegated spending earmark. They weren't available, which is, I'm hopeful that means they were busy having conversations in Washington, D.C. to get us out of a shutdown. But we did have a really great brainstorming conversation with Representative Keeler on how we move forward. And then yesterday I attended the, Lakeland Mental Health Center Board of Directors. We were at the Moorhead site, and a great update from all of the Moorhead supervisors. Quinn and his team work fantastic with the work that's going on at Lakeland. Jeremy and Brian and the rest of the team work really, really well on addressing and collaborating with the school districts and our river project at the jail. You know, I think it would possibly, for those who plan the intergovernmental retreat, roundtable on some of the work those folks do, and they're doing so much for Clay County, particularly with the river project. I heard some successes out of that group that I haven't heard in a while, which was exciting. And Then in regards to the budget, they're looking critically at that. We do need to make a health insurance allocation change for the budget, but there's a board designated spending fund that we haven't tapped into before, and Todd Schneeberger thought possibly that would be an appropriate piece to keep our budget low. So that group is working critically on the budget as well, and I think that concludes my reports, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Barra.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On October 22nd, I had a building committee meeting with myself and Commissioner Campbell were both at. We had project update, the joint highway roof and AC replacements have both been completed, and the FSC light replacement project is done, and we're working on getting the rebates for the LED lights in there, and we have not gone through our first billing there, so we have not seen the savings, and we'll figure out the savings on that light replacement project. And we also went through the rental study that we had done today already at board. And we also had an update on the LEC BCA audit update, and we are still working through that. That was pretty much the building committee. And then yesterday on the 27th, I had the West Central Regional Water District regular meeting with myself attending and Commissioner Campbell. And the final survey was completed and was supposed to be filed with the courts yesterday, and they're having another meeting with the courts on Friday to figure out the timeline with that. That was pretty much what we had reviewed there. If Commissioner Campbell has anything else to update, he can, but yeah, so that is all my reports.
Thank you. Commissioner Ebinger.
Thank you. Wednesday, the 22nd, I attended remotely the Diversion Authority Finance Committee meeting. It was general business, just the financial report, cash budget report. We did transfer $550,000 from the P3 contingency fund to the construction partners in this. Also had Eide Bailey. We approved them for auditing or providing auditing services. And 2026 draft of the cash budget, draft number 2, was approved and sent forward to the whole board. On Thursday, the 23rd, I attended the Criminal Justice Advisory Board. They just updated on the progress of moving some of the probationary or probation people into the Family Service Center and into the courthouse, and some of the shifting on that. Discussed AI report writing that's going to be introduced into processing and evaluating interviews by the probation officers or agents. And we had a presentation from Brad Burse, who's a sex offender supervisor for Clay County and local area, and very informative on the processes and the challenges they're facing. Later that day, I went to the Diversion Authority board meeting. Again, that was general business. Had a good update on the project update for both the Corps of Engineers and the diversion project. And we again discussed the finance update, did bring up the 2026 draft cash budget version 2, which was included for the members of the board. And that completes my report.
I have a request to take a quick break here. You're done with your report?
I'm done.
All right, we'll get to, all right. All right, we are back in session. We'll continue with our committee reports. Commissioner Kravinoff.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So on the Tuesday, 21st, that afternoon, I had the Adult Mental Health Monthly Meeting. We had a spotlight presentation given by the Lighthouse. It's a mission over in Fargo that incorporates our whole community. They talked about their programs. They work in the way of addiction and mental health, and with actually 27 meetings of a week. So a great report and or presentation, I should say. And then of our group there, of our membership, many of the services our providers use their members are involved over there at the Lighthouse. That group, I just want to report, continues to grow. We're over 30 people every meeting now, and it's tremendous how they network among each other, and it's just a really positive group. That evening, I was part of county planning. We had, let me grab my sheet. We had two interim use permit for a mining permit that was approved. That was over in Keene Township. We had a request for a conditional use permit regarding a 1 megawatt community solar garden in Spring Parish Township. That was approved. And then we had two plat subdivisions that are going to be brought to us on November 18th. The first is for a subdivision of, I better go to my notes here. Yeah, of a 10-acre subdivision on Highway 75 on some prime farmland. And then the second was a 67-acre parcel just east of Holly on a smaller lake called Lake Maria, 2 miles east of Holly. And so those two will be brought to the board for our hearing and also a decision. The next hearing for those two that the Planning Commission would have done, waived it, and had it just come directly here. Okay, then partly already reported by Commissioner Mojo. I had my, on the 22nd, the CAPLP meeting. I was part of finance and the board of directors meeting. And financially, things are in good shape. Things are in order in spite of the shutdown, which is really healthy. I think the only other notes I really she talked about the HR. I think the other was mainly more information that we had about the work we're doing. So on the we also that day I was part of a meeting with our lobbyist, Tom Hansen, regarding the non-secured facility. He gave us a list of key contacts he's starting to work on, and then also we continue to work on rebranding and recreating something in our messaging that will be most effective. And as mentioned, we'll be having Senate monitoring tour on November 13th. Also that day I had the Historical Culture Society monthly meeting there too, along with just like CAPLP. We were getting into the changes in our benefits in our bylaws regarding paid family medical leave and ESST. On Friday I had I was part of the weekly PRTF non-secure facility meeting. Commissioner Mojo reported on that. And then yesterday I had our quarterly, well, every other meeting, our monthly meeting, I'm sorry, for the Food Commission on the steering committee. Just want to report that this group has entirely lost all its funding at this point through grants that were coming through extension and North Dakota through the Cass County, or Fargo Public Health, and we've lost our leadership. So they're both unfunded, and they got other jobs. So with that, the group is sort of in limbo right now. We have thoughts of direction that it can go. So we're going to be holding 2 meetings, this work group, 2 meetings in November, and then we will come up with a decision, what we think might be best, and that will take place in our January meeting, and either we'll find other pots of money to fund this, and or possible dissolution, and I'll let that work be taken by another organization, but one thing at a time. That's my report.
Thank you. On Wednesday, October 22nd, I attended the Prairie Lakes Solid Waste meeting, and we had our meeting in Browerville, Minnesota, in Todd County. We went there to see their new facilities that they have, transfer station and office building that they have there. Very nice facility. The financing looks good. Our cash dollar amount is about very close to last year's numbers. Our Clay County is short 306 tons in deliveries, which is still within that 500 range. Most counties are in the negative, with the exception of Wadena County is way over deliveries, and so they're cutting back that so that we can all get cores made up. The plant operated at its full amount for the year, or for the month, in terms of what they anticipated for tonnage brought through the facility. That number is currently projected for the year to be 51,000 tons. He still believes, Brian still believes that we can maybe get that to 54,000 tons. We had some discussion about the future, what that might be able to do in the future, and I think if we can get some of this wet material figured out and that type of thing in there, I don't know, Commissioner Phil Hansen from Becker County has really put it out there. He'd like to see us have a goal of reaching 58,000 tons. It's a strong goal, but one I think that if we do some of these things, we might be able to accomplish. And one of the things we are looking at doing is putting in a drain system within the tipping floor there that can help eliminate some of the water. If you all recall, we have that in our tipping floor here at our transfer station, and it can help get rid of some of that. It would go to a holding tank, and then that liquid then can also be used. Sometimes if the garbage is too dry, it burns too hot too, and so they have to actually use some water to cool it a little bit to help. That's all about the steam production. I got back that same day. We had our building committee meeting. Commissioner Bear did a nice job reporting on that, and we acted on a few things today based on Joe Olson's work here. And then we did get a little bit of an update on the state driver testing, when they anticipate moving into our DMV building. And I think that's about a year out, 2027, I believe it is. Then and we also had some discussion about the Clay County Capital Improvement Bonding plan that Joe is working on, and that will be coming before the board probably in the near future. Thursday, the 23rd, we had our Clay County Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting. I think it's really, we want to recognize and thank you to Darren and Corey for the work that they did in creating the certificate of appreciation for 3 of our county landfill employees who were involved with trying to do some life-saving measures for a citizen at the landfill. And so I really want to recognize Ross Olson, Matt Zacher, and Derek Unger for their efforts and what they tried to do in terms of a life-saving support issue that happened out at the landfill. Not all things are successful, but these three employees did an incredible quick response to help try to help with that situation. So Corey gave a report on the landfill, other landfill duties. They were doing a waste study thing that later that day there where they were gonna have a bunch of college students come in and they take the same 100 households each year and they go through all of that waste and sort it. I just think it's just, Sarah, do you want to do that? Okay. So thank you to those people that do that too, and I think they try to determine what goes in there and maybe where we're missing in terms of how we can improve on recycling or other options. Excuse me, then I attended the Clay County Joint Powers Authority Board meeting, and we had, it was very small. We got an update on our property acquisition status and litigation actions, and then we had one landowner reimbursement request, which we approved. That same day, I also attended the Diversion Board of Authority meeting. We approved the governance policy amendment. A really good drone view of the activities that have gone on to date. We did act on some excess lands, and that's it on that one. Then yesterday, I also attended the West Central Board meeting. We continue to work on this memorandum with the neighboring watershed Marshall Polk has some concerns, and so we continue to work on a memorandum of understanding with them on that. The final survey is done, and I believe yesterday afternoon they were gonna submit everything to the Clay County District Court in preparation for the second hearing on that project. That concludes my report. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the 23rd, I participated in the county legislative planning meeting that's been discussed. That afternoon, I also met with Dan Molly and Peyton Mastera in regards to our weekly White Earth meetings. Again, that I reported last week that participated in the meeting invited by the city of Moorhead. Based on some of the information that was provided that day, they're going to have some additional technical meetings, and then they're going to be bringing the committee back together again as a whole here in the next month or so. The building committee met on the 23rd. That's been well covered. Also on the 24th, I participated in the MCC JPA meeting, which has been well covered. The non-secure juvenile facility psychiatric residential project has been well covered. Also, on the 27th, participated in the Water District meeting. We also had a meeting with Rory Beal and Annabelle Dufault on the opioids. We're going to be Annabelle will be bringing forward a update on what her position's been doing and some of the funding questions that this board has had. Yesterday, I also participated in the bond sale call with Mr. Hagan, who was here earlier today, and Lori. Again, appreciate both their work and their staff to get that item here this morning. Just would note it's advertised for you guys if you're interested to participate in the Red River Regional Dispatch Center ribbon cutting this afternoon at 4:45. For the citizens, this board participated in paying $1.5 million for that new project, and so that ribbon cutting will be this afternoon. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Brian, do you have anything for us? Darren?
Yes, most of mine have been covered. I attended the Planning Commission meeting, which was covered by Commissioner Kravenhoff already. Wednesday, the 22nd, I attended the Clay County Legislative meeting with our lobbyist as well, and the Building Committee meeting, which was discussed today. Thursday, the 23rd, I attended the SWAC meeting. I did have to leave a little early because I had another meeting with the UKG MCCC meeting that followed that, and then we also had a meeting on paid leave. On Friday, the 24th, had a meeting with Kimberly, and also attended the PRTF legislative meeting, discussing a possible informative podcast, making one of those. Monday, the 27th, had a meeting with Anna and Steve in the morning. I met with Quinn, Anna, and Michelle pending some grievances, or a grievance. And I had a meeting with that guy right there yesterday afternoon. And that concludes my report.
Okay, the record will show the mysterious man you were pointing at. All right, Sarah, do you have anything for us this morning? All right. With that, we concludes everything on their agenda with the exception of our closed session. So we will be going into closed session. Followed by that, we will be immediately adjourned. There will be no action taken based on our closed session today. So I'm looking for a motion to close.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to go into closed session per the advertised reason.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Mojo, second by Commissioner Abinger. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We are in closed session.